It's Thursday morning, I guess 9:01 a.m. It's the Housing Commission meeting. Calling it to order. Roll call.
Commissioner Taylor.
Here.
Commissioner Pelton.
Here.
Commissioner Goodman.
Here.
Commissioner Smith.
Here.
President Fosdick.
Here. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Go ahead, Mark.
I put a proposal from Swiderski Excavating in front of you. I'd like to add that to the agenda.
Okay. I also know that we are going to go into closed session, but I want to move it from 6F down to between 9 and 10, last thing of the day.
Yeah.
Typically have a Riverside meeting after our Housing Commission meeting, and this month, because nothing has happened, we've decided to forego that meeting.
There's minutes, but.
Any other amendments to the agenda? Okay, public comments on agenda-related items.
I have a question.
Come to the mic.
Public comments, is that an open forum?
Yes, it is, but when you come to adjust the comments, come up to the mic so it can be recorded. With that being it, the consent agenda is approval of minutes. I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
I will make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. There is no old business. New business, resolution 2023-10, doubtful accounts. We apparently have, what, two
non-resident accounts. They've left, so this is a process that we go through. I guess we do it twice a year here. Usually, we're used to doing it annually, but this is a 6-month one, and so we don't carry it on the books. It doesn't mean we don't stop collecting, but we write it off the books, so it's not on a receivable on our books.
So it isn't forgotten, it goes
It's
to the
not
credit
forgotten,
union,
no.
right?
It's
No.
just simply a write-off.
Write-off, yep.
I make a motion, we adopt resolution 2023-10 for doubtful accounts.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? B and C, under 6, the Century Terrace and Harborview REACT inspection and the past inspections are pretty much the same thing, so.
Well,
We'll go
not
into-
necessarily.
Okay,
So the first one is this REAC inspection is for Century Terrace and Harborview only. And that's done through the Real Estate Assessment Center, through now the multifamily division, because we have converted to rental assistance, project-based rental assistance. So the public housing division is out of Harborview and Century Terrace, but they still inspect because we have vouchers in their the multifamily division.
and this inspection was done a week ago Tuesday,
Yep.
right?
Lori, when was the
It
inspection?
was, yes, it was done, the 11th.
July 11th, okay.
We asked to postpone it a couple times because the site work wasn't done, and it's still not done, so the scores reflect that. They would not reschedule it again. So we went through. So some of this really is, some of the situations are because there's site work that's not done. So it's not a great score because of that, but there was a few issues. And you can see where they found the issues, where we lost points, deductions, and a lot of it was on site. So it's a 68 out of 100 score for the inspection.
So do they come back then and re-inspect?
Nope,
And
no, this will be the score, and then they'll ask us to address some of the serious situations, which we've already done.
Is it like a plan of correction that we submit, or just tell them that we did it?
On the smoke, there were 2 smoke detectors, so those we had to resubmit. But as long as your score is above a 60, you don't hear from them again for a year.
All right.
Now, the smoke detectors that they caught, is that because the tenant took them down, or we didn't have them there to start with?
We're still
know
investigating
that.
that. She was not home, the lady was out of town, so once she returns, we're addressing that.
Okay.
Most times it is the tenants remove the detectors.
Well, they get tricky, they just remove the batteries.
Yeah. So,
So a normal score, or score that we should try to achieve is 90 plus, right?
yes, absolutely. That's our goal.
And these are yearly inspections or triannual?
So if you're above a 90, it's every 3 years.
So we'll get them every year until we get there.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. So, any questions about the inspection? So the next item, and we put it in here because we finally were able to access the HUD system. And so the public housing side now is FAS. It's called Public Housing Assessment System. So there'll be an inspection there, and they will also score on, you see the factors, management, timeliness of capital fund expenditures, and some other factors. So our score is a 60, which is a standard performer. That was for the year 2022. I believe that they used a previous physical score because they're in the process of changing their inspection protocol. But we went back and downloaded the last several years just so you could see kind of the evolution. Now, COVID really changed things because they exempted inspections for 3 years. And they use so if you had a bad score going into these COVID years, you retained that score for the 3 years. So
we've not had a physical inspection yet this year for,
No, and I'm not
That's
sure
fair.
when we've had the last one. I think it's been a while. We expect it to happen, though. We expect that. So back when you really had the last significant or comprehensive score, I think it was was it a 77? Did we put that in there?
So 22, is that what you're looking at?
No, back a little ways from that.
it would probably be 18 or 19.
Yeah, 18 or 9, that's right, exactly.
Oh, before RAD.
Yeah, before the RAD conversion.
Some of these things, it's like, with all the remodeling, this cracks and doorknob, I mean, why wasn't that fixed? Or just, it seems like we had a lot of remodeling going on there. Some of this stuff just seems odd that it wasn't addressed.
Yeah, then I think
In our
that's,
finished locations.
yeah, right. And I think that's part of some of our new maintenance plans going forward.
Well, the ceiling tile, the electricians were standing in the hallway working up in the ceiling. And he still wrote us up for the tile missing. And there was a whole box of brand-new tile sitting there. So that, that kind of stuff, he says it's a snap in time. So he said, when I was here, the ceiling tile's not there, so I have to write you up for it.
Okay.
So, anyway, so expect this moving forward now this will be the scattered sites. That's the public housing assessment side.
Now, is that 60 out of 100 or 60 out of 80?
100.
Okay.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
still not a real good score.
No,
We want to push for the 90 percentile.
yeah, and so here's the other thing about getting a 90% is then in the capital fund, you get a 5% capital fund bonus if you stay as a high performer. So that's always our goal, is to stay as a high performer. Then that generates more money for us to spend on capital improvements.
Anything further on the PFAS scores?
No, I just wanted to make you aware that there was a difference between this inspection and the FAS score. Yeah.
Now, is it the same inspectors?
It could be.
Okay.
They are contractual.
Okay.
So HUD assigns them based on a lottery system. They have a pool of inspectors, and they assign Manistee, Big Rapids, whoever. We likely get a different one every time. So, and some have their different areas of focus. So some are looking at different things than others. It's not supposed to be, it's supposed to be unbiased, but some people focus more on certain issues than others, so.
Okay, moving on to organizational charts. I think you're talking about the Century Terrace Harbor View,
Yeah.
the CTHV.
Yeah, you know, especially because we have some new commissioners that most of you weren't here at the time that this was all established. And you see there's several iterations of this whole process. So, and then there was a memo explaining that I attached to, that I found. And I didn't know if anybody had any questions. And it's fairly typical, but with some variances that I haven't seen before. But clearly, to do a tax credit project, the Housing Commission had to create a nonprofit. The nonprofit had to create a for-profit to join because of tax implications for the tax credit. So you can see that Riverside Housing, Inc. is the nonprofit. CTHV Riverside LLC is, in my opinion, the for-profit that joined, the managing member that joined Commonwealth, that joined Scenair. So that probably is as clear as mud, but that is how a tax credit process is set up. It's a little more convoluted because then we converted the existing properties from RAD. So this is a fairly new, I would say in the last 5 years, this RAD conversion combined with tax credits. So I think the structure's okay. The line up here with Riverside being the property managers is not what I've seen in Big Rapids. It was just the Housing Commission, but Riverside contracted back. There's an agreement back to the Housing Commission to provide the management services.
I had asked that several times. I just could not understand why that was in the middle.
Yeah.
And I just could never get an answer. Is that something, I mean, we're in an.
There's an agreement
We're
now.
there.
Ultimately, it all flows back to the Housing Commission.
Yeah.
So, and
Through several hands.
through several hands, and that's why we wanted to clear up the nonprofit to make sure it was the same structure as the Housing Commission. So we've taken care of that. So we're going to talk a little bit more about property management in a minute, but does anybody have any questions about that, about this structure?
The only thing, you know, we use a lot of acronyms, and we have a lot of guests today, and, you know, I just want to make sure they understand, you know, that if you could put it in like
Yeah.
It's so hard to understand because there's so many layers now of Harbor View
Yep.
and Century Terrace for our visitors. It's, you know, it's not like it used to be, let's say that. It's not just simply the City of Manistee Housing Commission running those buildings. And I don't think, and I don't know if these charts, are they available anywhere like that residents could look up and understand this?
Probably not. I don't think
Flow.
they've been shared.
You guys have for minutes?
It's kind of like,
Yes. Yeah.
it's kind of like a matrix that you had in chemistry that you went, what? I mean, it's really, I don't know if the newspaper maybe wants a copy or whatever, that, I don't know, or anyone, we could get you a copy, but it's
Sure.
not a simple answer that this group oversees those two buildings.
It isn't. It
Right.
isn't.
Okay, just so everybody's
And
clear.
so we have a developer partner too,
Right.
which is Commonwealth, which is, we joined a partnership with Commonwealth, 51% Commonwealth, 49% Riverside LLC, CTHV, which then joined a limited dividend partnership with Scenair, who is the investor partner. So that's the way these low-income tax credit projects work. That's universal. I mean, that's the proper process. You know, my experience in Big Rapids is we didn't have a partner. We only had consultants. We went out on our own as the developer. So,
And the Scenair or the Commonwealth partnership ends after the first 5 years.
no, they released, I don't think so, Steve. I think they're in it for the 15-year compliance period, but they release, the guarantee period is over. So then I think it's
I'm not talking Scenair, I'm talking Commonwealth.
Commonwealth. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that question. There's a change after 5 years.
Right, and it's Commonwealth bows out, and it's just between us and Scenair then, the financer.
Yeah. I'm not certain about that, but I think that's a good discussion to have with them. There's a,
Is the
Contractor.
construction and.
they're the developer, the contractor, and the property management
Is,
company.
yeah, so they're doing those three things, which is kind of odd,
Yeah,
but,
kind of good for them.
yeah.
It's
Good
great for them and not great for us.
Yeah,
We didn't sign that contract.
no. So when you join this partnership, just so you understand this tax credit, in the project, we have project-based vouchers too. So there's 167 units. There's 162 tax credit units. So there's 5 that weren't included in the tax credit because the tax credit income limits go up to 60%. And so public housing allows incomes up to 80%. So, you know, I think the reason we did this, or they did this, is there was room to keep existing tenants that were over the 60%
Okay.
unit. So
Yeah.
we call those market rates. They're not really market rates, but they're not part of the tax credit deal. So the tax credit compliance period is 15 years. So your investor partner is in the deal for 15 years. So Scenair is a syndicator. So they're getting pools of money from corporations, banks, to invest in affordable housing. So, and it's an IRS compliance issue. So it's Section 42 of the code, which allows tax credit. So these investors want the tax credits because they probably paid us somewhere around 80 cents, 85 cents on the dollar. Then they get that 15% increase as a tax write-off on their tax returns, corporate tax returns. So it's an IRS program designed to bring private equity into the affordable housing market. That's really how it's set up. It's a lot more complicated than that.
No, that's a good explanation.
Yeah, but that's kind of it in a nutshell. It's the only way to develop affordable housing right now. It's really, and it's highly competitive. The 9% credits are highly competitive. So I don't know if that clears anything up, but I just wanted you to see this structure.
On the very first project, Century Terrace and Harborview Apartments, Phase 1, this is not, the bottom isn't accurate anymore. We have to change that for all council members? Can we change that? So we don't have,
Yes, that's not accurate
Okay,
anymore.
all right.
That's right. Yeah, Riverside is not, the composition of Riverside is different. I don't even think that needs to be on there, who the directors are. The directors are the Housing Commission
yeah.
for the nonprofit, which is the way it should have been set up in the first place.
Well, the nice thing about this chart is you see who the 3 principal owners are of Commonwealth.
Yeah, yeah, that listing is fine.
And it's not Jonathan.
No, he's a staff, just a staff person. Yeah.
Anything else in the organizational charts? Well, let's move on to Facilities Committee report. You guys have been busy.
We had a nice time. We toured, Lori, how many properties?
25.
25 properties, and we are going to have a work session to develop a plan to work on what we saw. And what we saw was a lot of years of neglect by a lot of people, and we are making up a plan, right, Jim?
I think
And, you know.
Yeah, when you look at the age of the structure, you look at the maintenance of the structure, you look at, what's the potential cost to rehabilitate this? And then you start hearing the background about, well, these were modulars that were originally up in the Upper Peninsula that were brought down here and reset, and you learn there's no insulation in these dwellings. It's probably old aluminum wiring from that era of construction. I was sharing with Commissioner Goodman my concerns that you go in where there's a washer and a dryer and there's a metallic screen, and you've got your hot water heater and you've got your hot water boiler that is not separated from the residents for carbon monoxide. They're gas drafting units. And I was sharing with Karen, at 5 Cap, when I was housing director there, I would never have approved something like that.
But these all have been approved by HUD.
And, yeah, well,
Grandfathered in.
detector's only so good, but yeah, I think we've up with a plan coming forward. I think there's some newer units in this mix that replaced the older units. One of the units that we looked at was vacant and had been vandalized extensively.
Well, and for the public's knowledge, these units were placed in service here in 1972.
Some of them.
Which was,
Some of them.
Some of them.
Some of them have been much more recent.
well, some of them have been replaced since, but the original 48 came in 72. And the useful life is 40 years, and that's 50 years today. 51.
But we're gonna brainstorm on this, and we want the residents to know that we care and that what has been done in the past is over. And we are going to attend to some general maintenance items and probably work on getting maybe an additional staff help, because it's a lot of units, it's a lot of land, it's a lot of work, and we care. I mean, we want them to know we care. I don't know, when the last time a group of commissioners went through all these buildings and talked to these people.
We weren't allowed.
Yeah.
Remember.
Oh, yeah, well, we weren't allowed since
allowed.
the last year. But, it's not gonna happen overnight at all, but, and then Lori has upcoming, HUD is coming through to do their inspections.
Well, it's not scheduled.
It's not sca- But it's ahead, it's coming up. So we'll have.
It's part of that FOS stuff that
Yeah,
we
we'll
talked
have a more
about.
specific, but in the meantime, I think the group that went through there agreed on just some overall maintenance items to make people understand that we do care and that we're working on solutions, and hopefully, in my history of working with rental units, if you take better care of the unit, the renter takes better care of the unit. It's all reciprocal.
Yep.
Exactly.
So I think that's the message that the Facilities Committee wants to get out, that we care about what we saw and that we're working on it, but it won't happen overnight.
And as you look through these, I know, I don't know how many there's like 3 or 4 that are offline.
Yeah.
And so the thought is to bring those back. Can we bring those back? I mean,
So I have a meeting Tuesday with our HUD rep to discuss that with her.
all right, I'd love to see those come back. We need them.
I think some of them are definitely salvageable.
Yes. It's unfortunate how long they've sat.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah, but I think, and there's maybe a couple that could become storage units. I mean, I don't know, but definitely some salvageable units that have been offline for 5 years.
Yeah, and now the cost to repair them is probably tripled.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, there was a lot ignored for a long time, but we're paying attention now.
In case the public misses, we assigned this facilities committee last month, and it is Ginny and Jim, along with Lori, and a member of the public.
Linda Beaton.
Linda Beaton. So Linda, do you have any comment to make at this time?
You stand up there.
Yes. I would like to remind everyone, Mark, talk in your mic when you're talking.
Have to lean forward.
One of the reasons I wanted to be on it is because I'm an elected official, and I wanted to make sure that it was handled with grace and with foresight. All of the tenants that I encountered were happy to have us come through, didn't have any issues. Lori did an excellent job facilitating the tour. There was one that I didn't go through because I had heard that it had mold in it, and with my allergies, I can't afford to go through that. But I was very pleased with the speed and the way that it was handled, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
The mold one was vacant,
Yeah,
just so everybody knows.
That's offline.
Yeah, it's not, just so everyone knows, we don't have residents living in mold.
And what you found was the mold wasn't as big a problem as was told to us to start with.
It certainly didn't look like it. But leaving it vacant didn't help the mold
No,
situation.
no, it never does. Well, thank you, everybody, for doing that. It's,
So we will have follow-up, we will get together and brainstorm. And Kevin, the maintenance manager, also was with us on the full tour and talked to us about a lot. And he was really helpful because gave us insight on, you know, what's happened in some of the buildings and some of the residents. And, you know, it was wonderful for Kevin to be with us also.
Now, there are 48, plus there's 3 domestic violence units, and it's this committee's intent to tour all of them, right?
those are houses supported by the domestic, they're not domestic violence.
They're
units.
single-family houses.
They're single-family housing supported by a domestic violence grant. I just want to make sure, because there are such things as domestic violent units.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, they're not part of the public housing portfolio, just so you know. They're separate.
but they're under our
Yeah,
purview, right?
yeah, yeah.
And it is the intent of this committee to visit all 51.
I don't know that it's necessary to visit each individual unit. I mean, we got a good sample. I've seen another one down on Condon. I've seen some others on 12th Street personally. So, you know, they're all the same type of housing, modular. They're all within about the same time frame. I think you look at the majority of the ones that have been visited and what the issues were, and can generally apply that in a broader spectrum. So unless Jenny wants to continue visiting units, or Linda.
If we can visit the DV units, I would, because I have a concern
Sure.
on a couple that I am aware of, so.
And I am working on scheduling annual inspections for 100% of the units, so at least Kevin and I will be visiting 100% of all the scattered sites.
I just want to make sure that we address every and any need that our residents have.
They turned in sheets to Lori, 75% at least, right, turned in their sheets with any identified issues.
We asked for comments
Yeah.
on the notice that we sent to them if they had comments.
Great.
But that was just 25 out of 51,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah,
It's a good start.
it was a really good start.
Okay. Closed session, we're moving to the end of the meeting, so financial reports from BDO.
So we sent them in an email to you. We really haven't had a chance. They don't get them to us until we ask them the day of the agenda. So I don't really have any comments other than I will tell you that the new accountants are under contract beginning July 1. So the July reports will be, except for Century Terrace and Harborview, will be from Housing Authority accounting specialists. So I would defer any comments until then. But if you had any specific questions on them,
Well, I just want to know that we're going to get a financial report at some point in time that we can trust.
yes.
Because we've not been able to trust the trial ones that have come up in the last 6, 7 months. So I look forward to that.
But if you look through those financial reports and have any questions, specifically let us know. We will ask that question to the accountants too.
Well, the one question I did have that I saw was in the month of June, because I think they're through June, right? That payroll went up $20,000 more than the previous 3 or 4 months.
Probably some payouts. Did
Yeah.
do some
That's some payouts.
I don't know the answer, but I would suspect that that's the case.
I think that we might have done.
That's what I assumed, but I just
Yeah, I
wanted to
think
make
we've
sure.
done at least partial payment. We had sick leave and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I think that came out of June. So we did that payout. And we might have done the other one too a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know exactly, Steve, but we'll
That's the only
review
thing that really caught my eye. So, and the AT&T bill is dropping.
Yeah, dramatically. Sometimes though, to remember, when you're looking at month-to-month payrolls, sometimes there's 3 payrolls in a month because we're bi-weekly. So that will skew the monthly from month to month because you'll see 2 payrolls in a financial report, maybe in May, but if June had 3 paydays in it, then that will go up.
Okay.
That will go up by a third. So that could be an explanation too, I don't know.
It's good to see the late fees are going down.
Yeah. Presentation and discussion, there are none, so we will go into reports and communications. Mark and Lori first.
Yeah, we're going to kind of tag team this to, you approved the Harbor View brush clearing, and I hope you get a chance to take a look at it because there's really a couple retaining, really nice looking retaining walls there.
They look brand new.
They
It
do.
was
They look
amazing.
good. So there's, I mean, one's got to be, Jim, how, 12 feet high?
Yeah, 12
There's,
feet.
I think, 3 levels of it. So they're there now. I think they're putting the wood chips in
Yeah.
today.
That tall one had poison ivy growing out of it.
Yeah.
I was just amazed.
So they were able to get their little excavator down in there, and they did a really good job, did not damage the retaining walls.
Yep.
So,
You
Looks like a condo resort.
yeah.
you just seen that they just whip around down in there. They knew what they were doing.
So it would be hopefully our goal that we would kind of invite folks that can garden next year, that can physically get down there, and maybe we can do our own landscaping. So, but it really looks good, so.
I think we need to address some stairs or something to get down
Yeah.
to the river without taking your life in your hands and
Well,
trying to go down
you
that
can
hill.
get around the building though, Steve, into the first level pretty easy.
Yes.
It's pretty,
Oh, yes.
it's pretty level. So there's a pretty steep grade to get down to the.
Yeah.
And I will say this, the retaining wall down there was done very well. It's in very good shape. Very good shape.
That like little road down there is easy to get down and
Yeah.
out. You know what? That they used to get the lawnmower
Yeah.
and stuff down.
I mean, it's a little steep. If you had some mobility issues, you wouldn't be able to traverse it, but it's not bad.
No.
I
it's
mean,
not
maybe,
that-
maybe even with a handrail going down, people could get down there, so,
Yeah, we either have to give it universal access or block it off.
yeah. So,
I think, well, okay, we'd have to make sure it's ADA, and then safety measures put there for liability issues.
Exactly.
yeah, and then conversely, if you go to Century Terrace, there are some steps that are crumbling and some railing that's crumbling, which is kind of roped off right now. So I think that's something that needs to be,
Handled by Commonwealth, or is that something we're gonna have to do?
I think that's
because-
probably something that's going to be in our court. So, and Steve, when we back up, I want to talk about this, but it's under new business. So the city manager called me the other day, and that's that quote right there. So we had a freighter run into our big willow trees that are sticking about 40 feet out into the river.
Like he trimmed them.
Yeah, well, he trimmed them all right. I see where he, I walked out, I probably walked out 15 feet out into the river on a giant willow tree that's growing straight out of the bank out there. So by our estimation, it's our responsibility, it's our problem.
We're a hazard to navigation.
Yeah, we are a hazard to navigation.
Yeah,
So-
Captain.
So, I've never seen the freighter go that close.
Again,
And I don't know if he was going out or in from the picture, but
He was going out.
he was going out, so that makes sense that he was on the right side of the river.
sometimes they tried to avoid the boat traffic
Yeah.
that's on the other side of the river. And it
So-
puts them too close to
They hit a branch about, I don't know, it was about that big. And so anyway, so the quote, we can talk about that later, but the quote is from, "It's our responsibility." The city manager spoke with an Eagle representative. "We can remove the trees, we just can't take the stumps out." And that's some pretty steep terrain right there without a seawall or anything to stop any erosion, so we need to be careful about what we do.
You have to bring a barge in?
No, I think they're gonna bring a boat in, they're gonna cut the trees and try to get the big excavator and drag them back up the hill. So it's a pretty,
Pretty intensive.
yeah, labor-intensive process, but they have to have a boat out in the river in case a branch or tree gets away, so. I think that's some deferred maintenance that probably could have been addressed a long time ago before it got to that point, but it's at that point. They're big. I mean, some of the diameters are pretty large trees growing out, and those willows grow fast, as you know.
Something we have to do.
I think we have to do it,
Our property.
so.
Yeah. I think the neighbors across the river are all gonna be really happy with all our cleanup.
So anyway, we'll talk a little bit more about that. The audit draft was sent to us incomplete because they're waiting for some more confirmations from the accountants. So as soon as I have the final draft, we'll get that to you for approval. I hope it's at the next meeting. We did hire a temp maintenance worker, a resident, so with the goal of addressing some of this deferred maintenance that you just talked about.
Now, you're talking more than a $200 a month stipend, right?
No, this is on payroll.
Okay, on
Yep,
payroll, okay.
payroll, yep, yep. We're working on getting a temp office position, receptionist too. It may come up today, the smoking areas, so I just want you to know if we have that discussion, I think we have a picture of a smoking shelter. I don't know that's what we want to do yet, or until we get the site cleaned up where we could even put it. But I do believe there's been some discussion about, can we convert the properties back to smoking? So if that discussion comes up, we believe that on our tax credit application, we said that we would be a non-smoking facility, and we got points for that. So,
Non-smoking building, right?
yeah, I think so, Steve. I don't know. That's my understanding. I can't tell you with certainty that that's the case.
So we could put a shelter or.
That's what I want to
to
determine.
Right.
So, the doors are being painted at Century Terrace. They look good. I picked the color, which is a gray color. If you like it, if you don't like it, Lori picked it. So it's kind of the way we do this.
I'm glad to see that it's painted though.
So the one thing we did do, though, and I made a decision that we're getting new apartment door numbers instead of trying to put 1972 numbers that have paint back on them and paint around them. We took them off. We ordered new numbers, and when they come in, they're going to have new numbers on
Excellent.
the doors.
So Commonwealth or didn't pay for the painting of the doors?
Oh, yes, they did.
Oh, they did?
Yes, they did.
Oh, good.
Yes,
Okay.
they
We
did.
got one thing from them.
Okay. The doors.
The unit doors, but we'll have to do the common area doors on
And
our
they didn't
own.
do the elevators and that sort of stuff, but we can do some touch-up after things are resolved.
You would think that would be part of a remodel, but I'm not gonna go there.
Well, I not so gently said that to them. Site work is still going on, as you saw, and I think Steve saw it yesterday, that they patched the parking lot at Harbor View, which it's a patch around. They tried to save part of the pavement, and
After they ripped it up during construction,
Yeah.
for the most part, now they're saving it. So that
Yeah.
we'll probably have to put a new parking lot sometime in the next 5 years.
And the way they had it graded, I was there the other day and I it's like, there's still, if you're in a wheelchair, there's a lip that they still, I guess I haven't been back since if they filled that in yet.
On the street side, Karen, or?
In front of Harbor View, as you're coming in that turnaround, or that drive-through.
I haven't
area.
seen, I parked in the other parking lot today because it was still closed, so I haven't seen that yet, but I'll look at it.
That was only at the grade level.
Yeah.
You know, since if they filled that in, it might have changed it. but-
Yeah, Reeve Riley was there yesterday,
Okay.
putting it in blacktop.
Yeah. Yeah, one of my questions is, when are we going to finish the site work in front of Century Terrace? Because it's been at a standstill for about a month.
Yeah.
And there's some big infrastructure that's going in there, some drain lines, so, and they're sitting there. I don't know where we're at with it, but we talked about the accounting contract, insurance renewals. We have our insurance through Housing Authority Insurance Company. I'm looking through the renewals, but I think you'll likely renew with them. The question we have with them is, are they covering our subsidiary corporations? So that's my question to them right now. We've asked that question. We haven't heard a response for them. Somebody needs to, and they should do it. So, Lori, we want to talk about sprinkler inspection in IT real quick?
Sure. So we were able to reduce our IT bill by $1,000 a month.
Good.
So that goes by the user. So they had like 10 users on there. We have reduced that down to 6 now, counting the receptionist that will begin on Monday. So we are hoping to be able to have the receptionist actually answer the phone instead of it going to voicemail and having to punch numbers, and actually have a voice when you call now.
It just grinds me to no end to call, and it goes to that damn voicemail. It's like, doesn't anyone work there? Can't they pick up the phone?
And then the sprinkler inspection, we performed yesterday. So it did create some discolored water when they ran all that. So Jimmy had went over to Century Terrace and was getting clean water for everybody, which I think it's cleared up today now.
And the reason we did that, Lori, so we wanted the sprinkler inspection report for the REAC inspection that just happened, but we found that we hadn't done a sprinkler inspection since 20. So this should be on an annual basis, so.
Yeah, the REAC inspector, he asked for all those inspections. So that was when I realized that it had not been performed in 2 years. So we're up to date on it now.
I've had a phone conference with KMG Management Company. So right now, and this was told to me by the Commonwealth folks, that our relationship probably won't go forward with their management company. So they've actually, and I mentioned
I
bringing.
think that's consensual.
Yeah, and I brought up the idea of bringing KMG for kind of back of the house. So, and what I'm talking about is the tax credit stuff, because there's some very strict compliance issues. And if they're not done properly, we risk the investors losing their credits. And we're not a tax credit management company. We are supposed to be that in 5 years. So we will always need somebody to provide that compliance. So we send the file to them, they bless it and say it meets the tax credit. So they're gonna send me a link, and I'm gonna dump the documents from the closing so they wanna understand the project before they will submit a proposal to us. But I think it's something that we need to take a very good look at. We use KMG, and I think I know Steve is probably familiar, I'm sure Ginny is, with KMG. There's other management companies out there, but they're from Mount Pleasant. They are doing some rad tax credit property management right now. So
They tend to be very strict, and they see things in black and
Yeah.
white, where I always wanted them to see it in gray. So they are pretty demanding.
one of their questions to me during the phone conference is, who's the software company? And we have Yardi, which I think Commonwealth brought in. They use one site, which it's just it's a software program that does this tax credit calculation, rental calculation. So they probably said if you can't switch to one site, we can't do your financials. So
I think we can switch, and I think we can just marry the two together and put it off. Yardy's terrible.
well,
Well, I think we have to talk to,
there's some discussion that needs to happen before we do that, for sure. So
you're not always, it's not always that easy to kind of bring the two programs together. And of course, everybody's gonna protect their own programs, but if we can talk with them for a while
Yep.
first.
So we're working on those issues. One thing that came out, residents would like us to move the meetings back to Century Terrace or Harborview, the Housing Commission meetings. I don't know how you feel about that, but
Somehow we have to record them.
yeah.
And that's all that really, this location, well, it was at West Shore, and that happened because of the construction, and then the plan was to go back, but then it was about recording and everything, so that's why this was picked. But I'm fine as long as we can record them and have minutes.
I think that's a question for our IT guys, if they could set us up to record.
Yeah, not a
So-
big, I think that's fine. I mean, it's up to the rest of the.
Yeah.
So,
I'm fine with moving it as long as we can follow, the program.
Well, we purchased 10 HD cameras. We should have enough cameras somewhere.
Do we know where they are?
No, we're still trying to figure that out.
In Weddington.
yeah, I don't know how we recorded when you guys were at the college. Was that their equipment?
It was on laptop, and then they put it through the sit there.
They have a system.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
They do.
have a nice system there at the West Shore building.
I would think from an IT point, we could do it somehow.
I can't believe it's that hard. We might have to take a thumb drive over to the city to plug it in to put it on the internet, onto the city site.
Do we have Microsoft Teams?
Yeah.
We could do, it's easy on Teams. Just have a Teams meeting and invite, if Jeff's got to have Teams, I'm sure he does. And then you can record right on that.
We'll talk to Heather, yeah. Two more things real quick, I don't want to keep you all day. Lockout policy, I think we need to update that. I don't think currently we're charging for
Correct.
lockouts, and we're coming in, we're spending 3 hours of overtime every time we bring a lockout in. So I think we have to have a reasonable charge for residents.
You want to give them one free and then charge, or?
It's not in the lease?
I don't think it's in the
What
lease.
I found was after renovation, it would be discussed, and then that sentence was removed.
Are there keys? Or are they,
Keys, and only one key we're
They
giving.
only received one key. In Big
Yeah.
Rapids, we always gave two, but so you can actually purchase another key if you request it, but right now, currently, most residents only have one.
we used to charge on the leases, $35 was a normal charge, but I don't know what it costs now to.
They were charging 150 for lockout.
Yeah, that's probably
Yeah, I
unreasonable.
think that's a little excessive, but some reasonable number.
Now, we change locks between tenants, right? Someone moves out and someone else,
No,
I would have to check with Kevin on that.
if we
no,
don't,
they don't.
I think we're at a point when this renovation's done too, that we talk about a rekeying
Yeah.
Yeah,
of all the units.
get a policy together.
So is Kevin able to come, or maintenance people
Yeah.
come and for a lockout? But
Yeah.
it could be in the middle of the night.
1:00 in the morning.
It's usually in the middle of the night.
And we pay a minimum of 3
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah.
time.
and the tenant that's locked out is pretty happy at that time.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have to have a minimum.
Yeah, I think we do have to have a minimum, even if we don't recoup our maintenance costs, at least some of it to bring them in.
It'll encourage people to keep their key with
Yeah.
them.
There is one issue that isn't a lockout, but you know the way they put that closet there? The closet that's right there, if people don't close it, and the wind gets it and it opens that far, you can't open your door.
Yeah, that is a problem.
You cannot open your door. They I don't know why they put it that way. They should have put the door the opposite way.
But that's original construction, right?
Yeah,
You're
because
talking-
you open it and there's no light, so it's dark in there. And a lot of people have to open the outside door to open that to get in that closet.
So is that a new problem, or has it always been that way, Jim?
It's a new problem after the construction because our doors weren't like that.
Okay.
The closet doors you're talking about.
It's right at the front door, there's that closet
Yeah,
right there.
yeah.
I think it's in the large one-bedrooms. I think the small one-bedrooms are okay.
Is that strictly at Harborview?
No, they're all all the doors are the same no matter what size the apartment is. Am I right, Deb? Yep.
All the one-bedrooms are have that same problem?
Yep.
Okay, because I know that Kevin and one of the Commonwealth foremen was showing me that, and I'm thinking, oh, this isn't gonna work.
So was it like a bifold before and now it's a regular door?
Nope, other way around.
So now it's a
It was a
bifold?
sliding door, I think, and now it's a bifold.
Like a pocket door before?
I'm trying to think what I had before construction, but what do we have, Deb, before construction?
The sliding doors,
Siding?
yeah. And they took a closet from a lot of people.
Yeah.
We got wasted space.
Yep.
We'll have to look and see if there
Yeah,
is anything we
it
can
was a
do.
design flaw.
Yeah.
The closet door and your door, both handles are right like this.
Which is something that we should talk to Commonwealth for, because it is a design flaw of their plan.
Yep. I couldn't even, in my apartment over there, I couldn't even get in it to put stuff in. You had to like go outside and open it.
So can we agree on a reasonable lockout fee?
Yes.
Yes.
What would you like?
I think $75 is reasonable.
Okay, I'm all for it.
We need to bring a policy back to you, but if we can start,
God, that seems,
And it should be in the new leases.
yeah.
we're,
You think that's too high? Jim?
we're talking about low income.
I know, I get it, but
But you want to encourage people to
I know.
not, I
now
mean,
we're not going to charge you if we're there, of course, during the day and the maintenance staff's there, for sure. That does, I mean, that's just a basic work order.
After hours.
Just an after-
fee.
And we
hours,
could
right.
offer, if they want a second key, I guess we can decide if we want to charge them $15, or I believe we have 3 keys for every set anyways. We keep one, and then there are 2 available. So we could either make sure every resident currently has 2 keys, and when we
Lose both of them.
inform them that the fee is going to go into effect. And what day are we making this fee effective?
August 1, I would suggest. And what, just, I keep, sorry, referring to when I did rental, but I had a form that they signed, that they received 2 keys, and that if they lost the key, there would be a charge for replacing the key.
Yep.
And also a lockout charge. And I will tell you, very few ever came to me to get the keys because they don't want to pay the money. And I'm fine with that. So I think it's another positive encouragement to say, here's 2 keys, hope it works, and put them somewhere safe, and don't call us at 1 a.m.
Do we have enough time for August 1st? I mean, that's just.
Yes.
I would say.
Yeah, I think we need to get it
September
going as quick as we can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Send out a message to all the.
Yeah, you
Yep.
could-
We'd send out a
1st.
notice.
You need you're only talking next week is,
Yeah, next week is August 1st.
Yeah, it'll be in the August newsletter.
okay, so we'll.
A lot of residents were excited to get a July newsletter.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start working on the August newsletter,
Great.
which that was in your agenda.
Yeah. And we could make it September 1st if you wanted to give them
Yeah.
enough time to adjust.
September 1st is good.
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah.
Resolution on that?
I think so, it's just,
It's the main.
I'll bring it, we'll bring that back at the August meeting with a policy, but just so we know your thoughts about what it should be. And we'll put that in the newsletter saying, give the residents time to comment on it to you, and,
Oh, there'll be a lot of comments.
yeah, I mean, that's okay.
Yeah.
Lastly, We have a couple 30-day notices out, which means at the end of the 30 days, there'll be some court action. So even for non-payment of rent today, we have to do 30-day notices. Is there two of them out, Lori, right now? One's not a non-payment and one is a non-payment.
The non-payment is on 12th Street?
No.
Or- Yeah.
Yeah. The non-rental payment is a scattered site.
Yes.
The-
And Pat Doherty is filing. The 30 days have expired, and he's working on getting us a court date.
Okay.
We have not, I don't think, heard from either resident, by the way, regarding those 30 days.
Now, is one of them the gentleman we talked about that is a bit cantankerous? Okay. Okay.
That's all we have. If you have any questions, that's a lot, but it's been pretty busy.
We don't have any staff here. Lori, do you have any other reports?
Just Kevin and Calvin and Al are working very hard on unit prep, so we did perform 2 leases this week, and I'm hoping to do 3 more next week.
I see the vacancy rate, 8 units between Harborview and Century Terrace and 2 units with the scattered sites. I don't think this company has had that good of a vacancy report in years, if ever. I mean, we're well over 90% full. So-
Good job, Lori.
Yeah, Lori's pushing hard. Our goal should be 97% at all times. That should be our goal.
In the 90 percentiles, I'm pretty competitive.
Yeah.
Well, I remember one of my property managers, when I was in the business, if I got to 100%, I got a bonus. So I stayed at 100% for almost 8 months, and it was like, yes! And then I had one happen real quick. I couldn't get it filled in time, but
I used to say I'll buy lunch for the staff every time we hit 100%, and we kept doing it over and over and over. And that was 400 units too, so I learned my lesson.
okay.
It's hard to get to
Commissioner reports.
100% with, when people pass away, move into nursing homes, things like that, but that is definitely our goal.
Well, you have done great.
You're doing great.
Is there anything more being done on parking? Have you seen people parking on the hill and stuff at Century Terrace? You know, the hill going down to the
Yeah, no, I've
basement?
not seen that.
Yeah, they're parking on the hill and,
I
hope-
did put in the newsletter. Did you see that?
no, I didn't yet.
Yeah, I did ask them not to park there.
Yeah.
I think once the site work's done and there's parking back,
Isn't that parking across the street where our building is? Isn't that can tenants
they
park
can
in there
park.
too?
Do we allow them? I'm not sure. I'm not.
It's just,
Yeah,
right now,
they
it's
do as
hard
long
with
as
the
they-
construction, because
Lock the dumpster.
Dumpster, yeah.
but Harborview parking lot will be opened up soon.
Okay.
The other thing about staff, unless you want a particular staff person here, we're going to ask them to keep working and keep the office open,
Yep.
unless there's a request that you want to see particular staff folks here.
I think that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, commissioners' comments. Karen, we'll start with you.
Boy, something was in my head, but not. So I have nothing.
Jim?
I've got questions about insurance. Used to be an insurance agent myself. But do we not have coverage for damage to units, such as the vacant unit that's been vandalized, or coverage for tenant damage? And those, if you're a commercial real estate person and you have rental property, you can insure against tenant damaging your property. And you don't have liability and other stuff like that. But it's just curious as to what we're getting for a pretty high price for insurance.
That's a good question, Jim. I'll share the policy with you. It's been my experience in the rental insurance arena that typically it's not, like tenant damage is not covered. The deductibles are so high, It's usually fire. Fire's our biggest loss, exposure in the rental industry. So I've never seen that. I don't know what this policy says, but I'll gladly send you a copy of the proposal.
I would appreciate that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm remembering this accurately, but again, several times asked, why isn't this unit being repaired? And asked about insurance, and I think it had something to do with the deductible was so high at the time. Now it's probably, the cost to repair it is so much higher, but back then, I think.
But
it was a
typically,
deductible issue.
the ones I run into were always a $5,000 deductible. You paid the first $5,000 and the insurance would carry it from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, several years ago.
That's a good question, Jim. Let us get the answer, or at least get the policy to you, because the renewal paperwork just came in.
Are you still on number 8 or have you moved on?
We're on number 8, commissioner reports.
Thank you.
Anything else, Jim?
My next comment would be, and I know we're going to discuss this in closed session, the forensic audit, but I would just like to make a public comment that I feel the Housing Commission should reimburse the city for the cost of this audit going forward, because it's certainly going to be of more benefit to the Housing Commission than it is to the city. There's certain things revealed that we suspected, but I would just like to go on record saying that I think we should seriously look at reimbursing the city for the cost of that.
I was gonna bring that up in closed session.
Okay.
Some sort of reimbursement.
My last is on equipment. All kinds of equipment is out there. 5 Hewlett-Packard computers, which I found out from Commissioner Goodman, were given to the commissioners, and she turned hers back in. A $2,500 Levino computer that the executive director bought, a $400 headset. I come from a process where each of these items, when they're procured, are recorded by what they are and a serial number and given an ID and maintained on a master list. Someone would check them out, but you know, cell phones. We know there were 18 cell phone cases purchased for iPhones, and there's only 8 people on the staff. I'm curious as to what sort of an inventory we have, or what process we may adapt to inventory all this equipment to make sure that what comes in is controlled until it goes out through an appropriate dispositional method. We're talking a lot of money here.
But Jim clarified that this is all prior to our current staff.
Right.
I'm not talking about furniture, well, I am.
Yeah.
Desk and chairs and printers and computers and iPhones and expensive headsets and
HD recorders.
That was
camera.
procured before our current staff.
Oh, yes, I'm not faulting.
I just want to make sure
I'm
you
not faulting,
understand that.
I'm talking about from times past and what we've seen. I'm just saying, I'd like to know where all this stuff went.
We currently don't have an inventory list, and
We need
actually.
I think we do. I don't know how accurate it is.
Right.
We have a depreciation list that lists everything that they bought. It goes on for pages.
Yeah.
Well, I'm talking.
And there
about
is a lot
I'm talking
there.
about an inventory, like right here, my computer has a number on it. You know, so it's been inventoried, but there is a
Yeah.
new program that you can get on an iPad or some sort of
Yeah.
tablet in which you take a picture and it inventories it for you right away. So it's computerized, but things like this computer I have in front of me is marked. And so my name's next to these numbers, and so when I leave, I have to give it back in. But it also helps with the depreciation.
Well, we have,
More clear amount of what we really are depreciating.
And I'm just saying, you know, a comment from the former resident commissioner was that he bought his computer. And of course, we know there are other things that have been bought by staff. But I'd like to know, the former commissioners, what happened to the computers that they were issued? who has been issued cell phones and where are all these cell phones at? And we're talking some pretty expensive outlays there. And again, not relating to Mark, you and the current staff, but from times past, I think there just wasn't a process and it wasn't watched very diligently.
And I think that, you know, we recognize this needs to be updated and taken care of. Not that we expect this to go to the top of your list, because you've already got a 3-page list. But this is certainly a policy and a process that we do need to do. And probably the city has some sort of policy we can talk, you know, ask them for. I've got a policy we can look at, and we can kind of.
We should have a
formulate something.
disposition policy.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of IT
From the
equipment
city
there.
on
Yeah.
commission, and when I was done with the commission, the iPad went back to the city.
Yeah, yeah.
I do have, I met with Keith from Next IT yesterday. So he is going to have one of his employees meet with me probably next week. And we're going to go in that closet where Steve has seen where all that equipment is. And we're going to go through and figure out what's needed and what we don't need. And that'll be a good time to start a list.
The
Yeah.
ma- the
If we don't already have one.
Directors up on that shelf, that's what, I mean, those look like the bags I had
Yeah.
with the computer in
I
it.
know there's 3 laptops there.
Sitting there.
I've not looked at any.
You know, I asked the question at the 60-day point of the executive director being gone, because by the policies and procedures, at that point in time, he was to return all equipment to the Housing Commission. And at that time, I was told that that had not taken place yet. But when we're talking a $2,500 computer and $400 headset and stuff like that.
It was,
Cell
that
phones.
was returned.
Mark that up.
I picked that up.
And Lindsay returned all hers too.
Okay.
So we do have piles of stuff there.
We
And
have-
so I'm going to have, so next IT, you know, they're good at knowing what's still workable and what's not. So he's going to meet with me and we're going to start working on it. I know there's like a docking station that's still brand new in the box. So he did say this is, you know, this is definitely something you want to keep. And then I'll look at the disposition policy and see if there are items that are no longer in use that we don't need to keep.
Okay.
Anything else, Jim?
I'm good.
Ginny?
I want everyone to know that none of the current commissioners have cell phones or laptops given to us
Right.
by anyone, just so that is completely clear. How did the resident meeting go in July? Able to make it? Did we get any feedback? Did we get anything? Did you go? Who went?
No, Deb's here.
Deb, how'd your meeting go?
It went good, we had a nice turnout.
Good.
Very nice turnout. So when we, put a sign up for Harbor View to come over and be in our tenant association.
Good. I see that, the nice newsletter that Lori's been creating, it says that everybody's invited to the next meeting, which is July 29th, and that's awesome. And then, everyone, anybody here from Harbor View other than you about the landscaping? Is it making them happy?
Good.
They noticed the difference? Have you guys noticed the difference?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, great. The only thing well, I don't know if this is, I do need to talk about the August meeting that I can either Zoom in. We didn't know if it was legal for me to Zoom in, or do we change the meeting, or is it okay if I'm just absent?
Open Meetings Act, it's if you have medical or, you know, something significant that hampers you, otherwise you're not able to participate or vote.
Okay.
But you can zoom in.
You can zoom in, you just can't
Participate
vote.
by watching, but you can't.
I can't vote if there's anything.
talk.
Jenny, do you have Teams?
I can get Teams.
Okay.
I don't
That
have,
happens often.
yes. But, okay, I just wanted to be clear on that. Okay. Thanks, and I also want to recognize all the people that have been coming to our meetings, hoping that the word is being spread that this commission cares about what's going on with the housing.
Well, and just mentioning the Resident Advisory Board. So if the Resident Advisory Board would like to have their meetings during Housing Commission hours, I would be more than happy to attend those meetings. And I could also help them with bylaws, and I did request a copy of their minutes if they are, officially having meetings, so that I could put those in the commissioner packets so that you guys will see what the discussions are at their meetings. And I'll be more than happy to facilitate that if they would like me to.
Thank you.
Jim?
Are you gonna be doing something behind Century Terrace, fixing up the mess back there that Commonwealth made? You know,
They have to restore,
they keep saying they
Yeah.
were, but
I mean,
where are they?
Now, winter will be here pretty quick.
yeah.
It's amazing
Yeah.
once you get past the 1st of July, how it goes.
Yeah, they keep saying they're gonna be there. And the other thing is, has anything been done about the ovens being adjusted? I mean, I've heard that for months.
From them? that
Yeah,
they
from
were gonna-
them, they had somebody coming in that was gonna go through and adjust them because both the refrigerators and stoves had to be leveled, and then the stoves had to be set, the thermostat,
I can ask Caleb about that.
and nothing's
And if
been
anybody
done.
has a problem, Jim, let us know. We'll go do it. If there's an issue with the stove or something that needs to be set.
But there's tons, most of them are off.
Are they turning in,
We should put that,
reports?
we'll put that in the newsletter and ask that question.
Yeah, they were when they put them in, they're supposed to adjust them. They're supposed to level them and adjust them.
No, I just wondered if the residents, I just wondered if the residents were turning in reports on their particular unit, so the staff knows that,
It's every one of them.
okay, every one of them?
Yeah, we haven't heard that, but I know I heard it from Jim,
Yeah.
but I haven't heard that, we haven't heard that from other folks.
Well, let's find out. Put it
Yeah.
in the newsletter and
Yeah.
find out.
When I talked to GE, they said, that's a contractor's package. Doesn't your contractor know to do that? I laughed.
Anything else, Jim?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, the only thing I have, and I almost forgot to bring this up, number one, before inclement weather and cold weather gets here, I'd like to have a full-blown tenant party. Outside where we provide burgers and hot dogs or whatever, and invite all the tenants to come, and I wanna do it just to thank them for
Hanging in there.
yeah, the last couple years. And then the other thing is, I've been talking with Consumers Energy. They will replace every refrigerator we have that's older than 10 years, free of charge. I'm also trying to con them into replacing all the baseboard heat in our newly redone Century Terrace in Harborview to put in mini splits, which is air conditioning and heating that goes through the wall. It's a lot more efficient than baseboard heat. I don't know that I can get that done for free, but I'm gonna try. So
So they will be doing an energy assessment.
they are gonna be doing an energy assessment both on CT and HV, and they're gonna do it on every scattered site. They also will replace insulation if it's missing.
Ooh,
Yeah, we're under a thunderstorm warning.
Lori's.
No, that would have to be DTE though. Because we pay our gas through DTE, that'd be heating. So consumers is the electric, yep.
And
Lori's done a
Consumers
lot of
is-
that.
Is collaborating with DTE
Yep,
on
yep.
this, so
Yes.
that's all I had.
Yeah, Steve, we've done a lot of that. Lori's been particularly good at working with these energy companies to get their incentives, so they know us, so.
Yeah, I've had them in some of my sites that I used to manage,
Oh,
where
yeah.
they'd come in and put high-efficiency boilers in for, not free, but like 10 cents on a dollar.
In Everett right now, they're replacing, we've got half of the high-energy furnaces replaced, high efficiency. So they paid, I think the cost was 180, they paid us 90. to replace 48 units.
You know, and it's just sick to think that we have 167 units in Century Terrace and Harborview, that we could have had free refrigerators for every one of them instead of having to buy them
Yeah.
through Commonwealth, because somebody didn't investigate it.
I have been
That's-
told, though, that the utility bills are going down. I spoke with a resident at Harborview, and she said she has noticed the difference in her electric bill since the renovations.
Good. So, any received communications?
There's a note from Clinton's family, if I just pass it around.
Thank you.
And I kind of touched on this beforehand, Lori, I took your thunder, vacancy report.
So, yeah, so we have several units that are ready to go. We are screening applicants and getting them moved in. There's a lot of paperwork because we have to qualify with the project-based rental assistance program and the tax credit program. So we just have to make sure that they qualify for both programs, and we have a lot of paperwork when we're doing that, but we're getting it done, and hopefully the vacancy report will be shorter next month than it is this month.
It does amaze me when I go into the conference room to do the check stuff. It's like, oh my gosh, the paperwork. I mean, you guys have tons of it there.
And every box has to be checked, and they, with the tax credit layer, they really make sure that you have everything in order, which we want it to be in order because we want to be in compliance.
You guys, I just can't say enough how appreciative I am, and I wish the other commissioners of all the work you guys are doing.
Yeah, I mean, the progress we've made just since you two have come on is amazing. And if people look at, wonder, you are going through the old waiting list and getting it updated. And so as we fill these, people can apply and be on the waiting list, just so everyone understands. We have a current wait. Hey, can you bring that back? I didn't get to look at it. I'm sorry. Just so people know, to be encouraged that it's going to be all cleaned up, and we'll know right away if your wait will be, extended or whatever. So Lori and Mark are doing an amazing job. Thank you.
Okay, if that's it,
Steve, can we circle back to that Swiderski?
Yeah.
We added that to the agenda, but we didn't talk about it.
yeah,
Public
Podolsky.
comment before.
right. Yeah, I know what's going there, but
Oh.
do
No
we,
longer here because of the rain. Can you all please speak up?
Yep. So, Steve, I just wanted you to see this. This just happened. We got this proposal. I would recommend that we waive the competitive bidding process and award this contract for an emergency
Yes.
purchase.
yeah, we need to get it done.
Yeah,
It's a navigation problem.
yeah. So, they're there already. Their excavator's there. They have to haul away some large trees. This is a not to exceed amount too. So, hopefully, once we get into the process, it could be less.
I will make the motion that we support the bid from Swiderski Brothers Excavating not to exceed $25,000 for the removal of the trees from the river area.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Money. Yep.
Okay. Commissioner Taylor,
Aye.
Commissioner Pelton,
Yes.
Commissioner Goodman,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
President Fosdick.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's nothing further, we're gonna go into public comment.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought you.
We're going into public comment.
Oh, okay. I thought you
Public
said-
comments will be restricted to 5 minutes apiece, so anyone who would like to come up to mic and make a comment?
Please provide your name so we
Taylor.
have that.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
You bet.
Great. Good morning. My name is Darlene McAuliffe. I live at 237 6th Avenue, apartment 118, Century Terrace. I moved in on May 18th. 2023. I would like to address those to whom my concern should be heard and acted upon, to the City of Manistee Housing Commission. I'm a tenant of Century Terrace Apartments here in Manistee. I rent an apartment. It is subsidized. I requested a transfer yesterday because I believe that my apartment is continually being accessed illegally by someone who has a key, has a copy of a key, or who has a master key. I spoke to Miss Lori yesterday, and I have already made a police report regarding this matter. I also believe that during my occupancy from May 18th until July 9th, someone has been entering my apartment while I'm asleep and sexually assaulting me. I cannot prove it. I feel that I was drugged, and I do not have any idea who is doing that. So, I have requested to be transferred to another apartment and have my key lock changed. I was told yesterday by Miss Lori, how do you say your last name again?
It's Hatchu.
Hatchu, that I would have to pay for the locks to be changed when the locks are not changed in between tenants moving out and moving in. I am not going to pay for the security and safety that needs to be provided by Century Terrace Apartments. I was also told that because of the activities in the public areas, that she cannot manage the people there and request that they do not obstruct the sideways, areaways, galleries, passages, elevators, or stairs, and to avoid using these for purposes other than going in and out of the dwelling unit. They gather in the main entrance. They're there, people are there almost all day long in their wheelchairs, their mobilized vehicles, however they ambulate. They also sit out there and talk and gossip and carry on, and they make it very impossible for me to come in and out of the building with my pets without being terrorized and harassed. I presented this to her yesterday. She said it's a public area. She can't do anything about it. Yet here it is in my lease that she can. Also, I would like to know why it is possible for the tenants and residents of Century Terrace to continually pound on my windows, yell at me through my windows, pound on my door at all hours of the day and night without any recourse. I've asked for a transfer. I put in for a transfer. I do not want to be on the first floor in apartment 118 because it is extremely noisy. The people are loud, very loud. The buses are continually coming into the main entrance. The deliveries are made there. The dust from the non-paved area is constantly coming in my apartment. People walk their dogs within 20 feet of my windows all hours of the day and night, making my dogs excited and bark. So I've requested that for my safety. I do not feel safe at Century Terrace, as my key is obviously in the hands of someone who should not have it. Also, there is a smoking issue problem. There is no designated smoking area, so the people of Century Terrace have to cross the street and smoke on the corners, creating a public nuisance. They gather on the corners, they're talking, they have their pets. It's a public nuisance. Century Terrace needs to provide a place for the smokers. They also need to mandate or make it known that public gatherings in the main entrance is not allowed. And one more item, pets. It says that the pets are supposed to be within 20 pounds with a height of not more than 15 inches. I know for a fact that there are pets in Century Terrace that exceed this. I also made Miss Lori aware of these things. Now, I want my locks changed. I want my apartment transferred immediately because I am not safe there. It is not conducive to my mental health. I pay rent, and as a renter, I want my privacy. I want to be able to look out my window. I want to be able to be in my apartment without being screamed at and harassed and belligerent people saying rude and rotten things. Because let me tell you, I can be just as vile and rude as they can be. I choose not to be. I'm tired of being harassed. I'm tired of being terrorized. I'm tired of my apartment being accessed without my permission. So I'm asking you to do something about these issues. They need to be addressed, and this is a very serious matter. And I would like, at this time, to file a formal complaint, and at this time lodging a formal verbal complaint against the City of Manistee Housing Commission and Century Terrace for the things that I have had to endure.
Thank you, Darlene. Are you still going to be home at 1 o'clock like we scheduled for your lock change?
I'm not having that lock changed. I want my transfer.
Okay, we can discuss that. But thank you for your 5 minutes of comment.
You're gonna do what you're supposed to do.
Order, or you can leave.
Any further questions for me?
We will discuss it, but we won't discuss it at this point.
Thank you very much. And may I also know who you are exactly?
My name is Steve Fosdick. I'm president of this board.
You're Steve?
Yes.
Okay, I only have certain names that I was trying to gather because the names are not correct. So you're Steve, and you're the president
Yes.
of the Housing Commission?
Housing Commission, yes.
Okay. And is there a mayor?
These names reflect the city council that you see. We are the housing commission.
Okay, all right, thank you for making that clarification. So there's no chair?
He's the chair.
You're also the chair. The president is also the chair.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate your honesty. Thank you for letting me speak today, and I am putting my life and security and well-being in your hands. Please do not disappoint me.
Thank you.
Where can I file a complaint in writing?
You can either give it to me or to Mark or Lori.
Okay, give it to you. Where's your office at?
I do not have an office.
And then how do I contact you?
I would say the appropriate would be to give it to Lori.
Give it to Lori.
She'll get it to all of us.
Okay, does it have to be on your documentation, or is it going to be just handwritten? Do you have a complaint form?
You're welcome to handwrite it.
Handwrite it.
Welcome to, so you're telling me you don't have?
We do have a complaint form, so you're welcome to use the complaint form or you're welcome to write it.
And can I get that from your office?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, Deb?
I want to address the pet thing, because also.
Come
No,
up.
no, come on up here.
Say your-
Also in our
State
lease.
your name, state your
Deborah
name.
Kaiser. Also in our lease, it says 1 pet. She has 2. So I'm thinking, since she got in with 2, can I get a pet for Bear? It's not fair. It is in our lease. I signed my lease. It said 1 pet. And to further address that, me and Bear are grandfathered in. Lindsay and Clint let Bear come with me. You know, I know a few of you know what he looks like. You know, he's not.
Yeah, he's not under 20 pounds.
No, and he's not vicious. You know, he doesn't go after anybody's dogs or any people or nothing. I've trained him well, you know, so. But yeah, that kind of unglued me when I found out she had 2 dogs. And there's a couple ladies in the building that have 2 and 3 cats. You know, so I got people on the 5th floor wanting to get another cat so their cat has a friend. You know, if we're gonna do this, we need to do it right. You know,
Yeah, that-
everybody needs to be on the same page with what's going on, because otherwise, tenants are starting fires you guys might not be able to put out, is what I'm trying to say.
We will definitely look at it.
All right, so here we go, Mark. I got a smoking petition. Even if you guys build something for people to smoke, I'll guarantee you they won't do it in the wintertime. They will not come out of their apartment and go to no smoking area in the wintertime. They just won't do it. They haven't done it since I've been there. I've been there 5 years. You
Well,
know?
then they then risk,
Yeah, I mean,
Possibly.
some of them don't even care anymore, Steve. They really, you know, it's.
well, we have no choice. It is a non-smoking building by the rules and regs that went in place over the RAG conversion. We don't have
That's
a
fine with me,
choice.
I don't mind smoking outside, but it kind of makes our housing look bad when you got people standing on the corners smoking.
We're definitely gonna address that.
That'll work, yeah. And then, I got one more thing, I think. Two more things. The windows in the sunroom are plastic over the regular windows. They're all scratched up, there's no way to clean them up. We need Commonwealth or whoever's gonna do it to come in and fix them windows properly. They're scratched, you just go look at them, there's no cleaning them. I've tried to clean them on the outside, it's just not gonna work. And then the last thing I have, and I don't know where I go with it, because I was told Commonwealth or somebody hired Corrigan to move our stuff. I lost a box of rings and at least $5,000 worth of rings. And I got a police report the day after it happened. I sent twice over to Lindsay. I was told it was being sent on to Corrigan. I've since talked to Corrigan, and the guy's name is Mark, said Lindsay. He said, I don't know if I can say her name right or not, but Lindsay, I said McIntyre. He said, yes, is the ones that signed the paperwork or whatever to hire Corrigan. Now, it's not even been a year. And I'm not the only one that lost stuff. There's people that have lost stuff from way back in their family that you can't replace. So I don't know where to go. That's why I came here today, because I don't know where to go. Next, where do I go?
We will have Lori or Mark look into it and get back to you on that.
All right, that's what I got. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for coming.
Any other public comment?
May I readdress?
What's that? No.
May I readdress?
No.
I just wanted to clarify something for the commission.
We will look at the pet policy, so we'll take care of it then, but no, you cannot come up again.
Okay, so you don't want to know about the special provision?
Good morning.
I'm Valerie Reedy. I am a resident of Century Terrace, and I wanted to talk about the painting that's being done on the doors. As far as safety issues, like last night, I didn't get home until about 8:30ish last night, and my door was partly ajar, and there was no one around to help make sure that no one's going in anybody's apartments. So I was a little concerned, even though I know about it. It still kind of felt like, I was invaded, because I didn't know if there was going to be someone in my apartment and pop out at me when I come in. And I know that the 5th floor and the 4th floor is just about done, but for the other floors, we're wondering if there is going to be somebody watching everyone's apartments so that nobody goes inside and steals anything or whatever. Like this morning, I had to leave my apartment door unlocked so that the workers could do their thing, and that didn't quite sit well with me, but I did it. But I was just wondering, is there going to be in the future for other residents that somebody keep an eye out? Safety is a big thing. You're talking about going out and building a smoke sheds but where's the safety? I go out at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I believe that we need a night security person to help watch over people at night if they're going out and smoking a cigarette. Just something to consider. Thank
I
you.
appreciate the comments.
Thanks.
Our painters, professional painters, are they all bonded? Yeah, they're from Commonwealth,
No,
Commonwealth Hire, no?
They Commonwealth hired them.
Subcontractor.
so they're all bonded then, I'm sure.
Steve and I had the discussion they assured us that they would be there while the doors were open, while they were painting them.
So she came home and they weren't there,
Yeah.
so.
Why was the door open?
They have to let the paint dry.
Why was her, because if she had to leave her door open again today, they weren't anywhere near her door, so why was it open to begin with?
Yeah, I'll get
And you
with
don't need to
Kevin
leave
and the
your door unlocked
contractor.
because the guys have got a key of,
Jim, Mark,
sorry,
public comment, we're not having this discussion.
okay,
They're
okay,
gonna
sorry.
look into the,
Yeah.
and get feedback.
And your name, ma'am?
My name is Liz Lasky, 537 4th Street. And first, this is a volunteer commission as far as I know, so thank you for your service. And this is a tough commission to be on because, first of all, you have to care about the residents, which I know you guys sincerely do, and then you have to care about the taxpayers and the citizens. My only concern, and Ginny, I think you addressed it, I appreciate you going in physically to the buildings. I think we have not taken stock of what has been over there. It used to be back in the day when I was young, our church had church in there the Methodist church had a service in there every morning. And you had people like Lawrence and Rosie Solberg in there every week. The residents attended that church in the public. We had coffee afterwards. We went up to the residents. They invited us for lunch, I remember many times. When there is that openness and you have people in and out of a building, it's maintained differently. Even under Jay, it was, I remember Esther Cordray taking me there to look at the most beautiful Christmas tree, and the public went there. We could have meetings in that room. I'm not saying you have to open it up, but we have to get inside. Once buildings are closed, things change. Then the second thing is you're going into closed session over the forensic audit. And it wasn't that many years ago that we did that before. And I thought, shame on us that we're doing it for a second time. We get the audit, but do we put and there's a whole COSA, there's a whole accounting system and you are required to deal with that. Like, there's 2 signatures on the checks? Are the invoices matched up? What are we doing to prevent this from happening like a third time? And I'm not saying there was fraud, but I'm saying we have to make sure that we as taxpayers and commissions are overseeing that. The city council repeatedly asked, and I know it was the previous administration, for these financials, but we didn't demand them. They were like 6 months behind, and then they went back when they finally appeared, I think it was May or June, and then they went back and amended March, which, you're not supposed to go back and amend these financial statements and change them, and they did that. And Ed Bradford, the city audit was delayed because of the numbers didn't come from the housing. So I thought, and then even today we kind of didn't, the financials weren't completely. We have to, the numbers are the basis of exposing everything. And I thought, everybody here, we're all engaged in that, but I thought we got to make sure, because you're protecting, by looking at the numbers, you protect the citizens and the taxpayers. So thank you. I'm glad that you guys are on this, so thank you. I do want to say that there were some things behind the scenes and some council members that were working with
Yes.
us, or
Yes.
I'm the only one left, but
Yes,
working.
city council did care, and they were really trying and
Yeah.
brought, and I think the more you bring to light, because when something isn't brought to light, this is a small town, we're all here, the rumor mill is probably worse than what goes on. So I thought, don't be afraid to be transparent and to say what's going on, because people do want to know, and it's probably less damaging than what they're saying. So, and I know the council did care, and they do care.
But I just wanted to support what you're saying.
Thank you.
It is a collaborative thing, and it took us a few months to
I
kind of
know.
be able to move things forward. But you are 100% right. I also, I think that it's important, as even commissioners, board members, whatever, you cannot get passive in your role.
No.
You are always representing, and so when you just start rubber stamping stuff, it's really time for you to leave. You have to be assertive and representative of our community, and so I support what you're saying 100%.
Thank you. Yep. Thank you all.
Thanks, Liz. And just, if anyone looks at former committee meetings, the average was 10 minutes. Since I've been on last June,
Yeah.
we've never had less than an hour and a half meeting minimum, and normally 2 hours. And so we are giving it our all. I mean, this is a passionate group. And there are more signatures on the checks than one now. And And I think luckily we have Lori and Mark, who are amazing guidance for us, who have a lot of experience. So, yeah, it's all going to be better soon. Stay tuned.
I have a suggestion. I don't know if it's something you can do, but it's something
Ma'am,
that this
your
is
name?
Linda Beaton, City Council, 2nd District, on the north side. One of the things that City Council does is we have a consent agenda, and on that is the check run. And we have access to look at all of the checks, and if we want to pull it off the agenda and ask questions about it, we can do that. I've noticed that this is not a practice that's happening in the Housing Commission that I'm aware of. I would suggest you add it if possible, so that commissioners can see where payments checks are being sent out. Just a suggestion, that's the way we do it at City Council. There's a lot of transparency that way, and I think it would be a good practice if you could figure out how to do it. Thank you.
Thanks, Linda. Any further public comments?
Mark Shively, apartment 228 Century Terrace. I'm here to discuss lease violations, not by the residents, but by management. Who is responsible for this letter with the K-9 dated May 30th with Lindsay McIntyre's name on it? She does not, when did she resign?
Like May 25th or something?
May 25th. Why did people get this letter May 30th with her name on it? That's falsification of, you don't know. I know you don't know a lot of things. That's one. More lease violations. Look at that laugh. Here's another. I don't give you permission to open my door to paint it. Per lease. Page 6 of 10, item 20 on my lease says you have to have permission to open my door unless it's fire or this or that inspecting for safety. Painting a door has nothing to do with safety.
No, we have the right to enter an apartment with a 24 or 48-hour notice.
No, you do not.
Yes, we do.
Page 6 of 10 of, which lease is it? Because there's more than one lease. The subsidized, model lease for subsidized programs. Page 6 of 10, item 20. Resident has to give you permission. I will not give you permission without my signature. Don't open my door. That's in the lease. And you send a letter and you don't sign it? Isn't there supposed to be a signature on that? I can type up a letter and put your name on it, but it don't mean nothing without your signature. Am I right or am I wrong?
If it's just a general statement.
Oh, it's just a general statement. Oh. On the
Yeah,
date.
you got a minute left.
I'm here to address complaints against management.
But you have a 5-minute limit.
And I've been talking for 4 minutes?
Yes.
Okay, there's another lease violation. Entering my apartment to check for serial numbers. That's got nothing to do with safety or inspecting this or that. The other one, when you're coming to see if there's anybody in here. This letter was given to us the same day the K-9 was in there. Who let the K-9 people in there without management? Management opens the door for the K-9. Oh, yes, this is occupied. The same day that they were there. The same day.
Have you addressed this with management? Have you addressed this with Lori?
That is the problem.
That is yes or no. Have you addressed this problem with Lori?
No.
then how are we to do anything?
Is she the boss or are you the boss? I'm bringing this to you. I'm bringing attention lease violations. Not one, not two, not three. There's probably 4 or 5.
She will do the investigation.
I'm gonna investigate myself.
Okay,
Okay,
time's up.
thank you.
Any other public comments? With that, we are, oops,
Are you coming up? Okay. That's okay.
But you poor folks have been yelled at quite a bit today.
ma'am, could you state your name?
Carla Polanski,
Thank you.
and I wanted to commend you guys for what you have done so far. And I have to say that Lori had gone out of her way to help me when I got bit by a dog, and she did everything she could to rectify the problem. And I wanted to say, keep up the good work.
Well, we appreciate that.
You don't hear it enough, I know you don't.
Thank you.
I want to second her to say, we really appreciate you guys. We really appreciate you guys stepping up. It's made a whole, I mean, it's just different. We got people now coming together where we were all separate. I just want to thank you guys.
Thank you, Deb.
Okay, thank you.
With that, we're going to close the public session and go into closed session.
Need a motion?
Minute break?
No, we need a motion to go into closed session.
Closed session.
I will make a motion that we go into closed session and keep all of the commissioners, Mark and Lori,
Lisa?
into the meeting.
Second.
You said we're gonna take a couple minutes.
Roll call on this.
No, you don't need to go to roll call. You can just do a voice vote.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I think we got a little bit of.
Oh, it's to get the recording to
Pardon
work
me.
again.
All right, wait.
I had Lindsay. We
said
have
it takes
no-
30
We have no
seconds.
resolution with Lindsay.
Oh, thanks.
I'm
To
gonna
come
make a
back in.
motion,
Kyle, thanks for,
But it's just to get him.
thanks for being so patient
I
out
have
there and coming back.
Clinton, Lindsay,
Yeah.
audit expenses,
Later.
bylaw change.
Oh, I
The two,
It's recording. Okay, we're back in open session.
okay.
Okay, so I want to make a motion to authorize Attorney Jeff Klug to complete a payout process with Mrs.,
Copus.
no. McIntyre, yeah.
Oh,
Second.
All in favor?
aye.
My next motion is to authorize Attorney Klug to respond to the City of Manistee's recommendations regarding the forensic audit with, do we want to put the name in there? That's it. Okay, that's it.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Third one was to authorize the funding of up to $15,000 to the City of Manistee as a reimbursement to the forensic audit that was completed.
Offset some costs.
Yep, offset costs.
All in favor?
Wait, do we have a second on that one?
Yes.
Jim?
Mr. Smith,
Jim did,
okay.
yep.
Opposed? Motion carried.
The last one was what? What did you say?
The bylaw change, to where a commissioner can only serve 2 full terms and then he's off the board.
Should we do that here, or should we?
We should probably do that in regular meeting next
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
let us bring back a proposed revision of the procurement policy bylaws, and maybe we could schedule a work session before to talk about our proposed
Yep,
revisions.
I like that idea.
Okay.
Okay. But I think
Or-
recommendation.
So anything else in front of this commission?
Nope.
I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
What time is it?
Jim and Jim. All in
Jim and
favor?
Jim.
Aye.
Opposed?
11:30.
Motion carried.
Now we got Riverside.
Nope,
We're not gonna have that
no,
Riverside.
no, not necessary, only minutes.
2 hours and 40 minutes,
We didn't have an agenda.
longer than 5 minutes.
6 minutes.